The House will come to order. Please join Representative Hanks in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Shebel, please call the roll.
Representatives Amabile. Rep. Amabile is excused. Bacon. Representative Bacon's excused. Baisley. Baisley's excused. Benavidez. Burnett. Byrd. Representative Byrd is excused. Bockenfeld. Basenecker. Bradfield. Caraveo. Carver. Catlin. Cutter. Rep. Cutter's excused. Doherty. Duran. Esgar.
Here.
Exum. Representative Exum's excused. Froelich. Rep. Froelich's excused. Geithner is excused. Gonzalez Gutierrez. Rep. Gonzalez Gutierrez is excused. Gray. Rep. Gray is excused. Hanks. Herod. Holtorf. Holtorf's excused. Hooton. Rep. Hooton's excused. Judah is here. Kennedy. Kip. Larson. Lindsay. Wantine. Wantine's here. Luck. Lynch. McCluskey. McCormick. McKean. McLaughlin. Rep. McLaughlin's excused. Michelson Janae. Mullica. Neville. Ortiz.
Here.
Pelton.
Here.
Pico. Ransom. Rep. Ransom, yeah. Rep. Ransom's excused. Rich. Ricks. Roberts. Sandridge. Sirota. Representative Sirota. She's here. Snyder. Soper. Sullivan. Tipper. Titone. Valdez A. Valdez A is excused. Valdez D. Van Beber. Van Winkle. Weissman. Will. Williams. Rep. Williams is excused. Woodrow. Woog. Young. Mr. Speaker.
Ransom.
I just got you, yeah.
That makes me unhappy. Ron? Good morning, I'm doing well. Ready for
McLaughlin's here.
the radio voice going this morning. There you go.
That's it. Oh, excellent.
With 58 present and 7 excused, we kind of have a quorum. Representative Hanks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Journal of Friday, March 18, 2022 be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Thank you, Representative Hanks. I'm very confident in this motion. Members, the motion before us is the adoption of the Journal as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Yes. All those opposed, no. I'm convinced that the noes will eventually lose their voices and the ayes will win the voice vote, but the ayes do have it and the motion is approved. Announcements and introductions. Representative Titone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Buongiorno, members. My foreign exchange student is here today. Matteo Malcarne, why don't you stand up? He's on spring break, so he's spending his time with me here under the Gold Dome. So greet him with an Italian greeting, say buongiorno and ciao, and make him feel welcome. Thank you.
Welcome. Representative Beasley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So for those of you who did not grow up on Disney, I can explain later, but I got no sling to hold me down, to make me fret, or make me frown. I got no sling to hold me down. I got no sling on me. I'm a real boy.
Congratulations on having no sling. We're glad the recovery is going well. Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Friends and fans of finance, guess what? If it's Monday, it's finance, and today we will be meeting at 1:30. We've got 4 bills on the calendar. We'll go slightly out of order than what is printed. The first bill that we'll hear will be House Bill 1239, followed by House Bill 1121, then 111261, and our last bill will be House Bill 1123. So again, today at 1:30 in House Committee Room 112. See you there.
Representative McCormick and Representative Catlin and Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Anybody here that likes food, pay attention. This week is Colorado Agriculture Week, and there are lots of activities on board here in the Capitol and elsewhere. Just to start off the week, well, we missed the breakfast, but it was this morning between 8 and 10. But later on this morning, there will be a lunch offered in the West Foyer on the first floor from 12:15 to 1. And it'll be a producer panel with discussion about environmental successes in Colorado's agricultural industry, moderated with people from the Colorado Department of Ag, the Executive Director of the Colorado Ag Council, and the Colorado Egg Producers Council. More info tomorrow. I'll come up again tomorrow to tell you about what's happening tomorrow. But again, anybody that likes or enjoys food should celebrate this week and our important agricultural industry here in Colorado.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you. I was nervous because I didn't think you were going to say it.
I had to consider it.
Yeah, I know.
Who's
That's
flipping it
I'm
forward?
nervous about that.
You know, it's about agriculture today. You know, some of you play golf, some of you hike, and some of you do those kind of things. One of the things I want you to think about is you play golf, maybe you go once a week. You enjoy it, you need that. Maybe you play softball, play baseball, some of those kind of things. You're out and about. But one of the things you need every day, 3 times a day, is some of the people that are standing up here in front of you, farmers and ranchers. It's very simple. We never really think about it. But agriculture is one of the reasons that we're here and still here and will go forward. Agriculture is now becoming the #1 industry in the state of Colorado. Yet it's one of those businesses that just quietly does its job out at the edge of town without a lot of people even realizing or registering on what's going on out there. If you get an opportunity, go out in the lobby, take a look at some of the displays that were brought by the Colorado Department of Agriculture. If you didn't get a burrito, you might hurry and go get one. But we talk about Colorado Proud. We talk about what Colorado agriculture is doing in the laboratory to make sure your food is safe and make sure that our producers can continue to produce more as the number of people in this world continue to grow. You can talk about everything from the state fair to GPS on these tractors and all. What I'm asking you to do is to think about agriculture when you go home to your district. Remind some of the young people that there is a great future in agriculture and it's not in running a shovel. If you're interested in space, space is taking this agricultural industry forward with GPS and all of the things that we're doing today. Folks, it goes without saying we need ag, but today and this week, you'll get an opportunity to recognize ag for the foundational stone they are in the state of Colorado's foundation. If you know a farmer, shake his hand. If you know a rancher, shake their hand. The point I'm trying to make is today's an opportunity for us to say thank you to agriculture, and I'd ask you to join me in thanking ag for bringing Colorado to the front and being a leader again. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Catlin. Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to serve with you.
Honor to serve with you too, Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you. I think people have a misconception of what ag is, that it's just rural, small parts of Colorado. And all but about 2 very small counties in Colorado have commercial agriculture as part of their industry. We need to shop locally. We need to thank those people that are in our counties. No county goes unscathed with this. Everybody should be supporting this. It's a huge income for all of Colorado, and it's very, very important. So let's celebrate ag today. It's an important part of everything Colorado. Thanks.
Thank you. Representative D. Valdez and Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you as we continue to celebrate ag this week.
Honor to serve with you too, D. Valdez.
Agriculture is important to the state of Colorado in many ways, from industry to raising your family, to putting food on the table and knowing where food comes from. Just like the egg. How important is the egg, the incredible edible egg that continues to make Colorado proud in more ways than one. And as we have the Colorado State Fair here to continue to thrive and move our communities and engage from education to 4-H to FFA to continue thriving ag in the state of Colorado, but throughout the United States and throughout the world. So with that, thank all those in ag and remember the Colorado State Fair on August 26th as we have the legislative barbecue. So hope to see you there. And for all those in agriculture, thank you. And thank you, farmer.
Representative D. Valdez, when you were saying state fair and move, I was like, to Denver? Just joking. And the majority leader's on the wall, so I'm getting the finger. Just joking. Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
Honor to serve with you too, Representative Holtorf.
And I'm going to say 4 numbers, and then I want to talk about what all of you have on your desks and talk about this program. The first number is $47 billion contribution with a B to the Colorado economy. The second number is 32 million acres in agricultural production. The third number is 38,900 farms and ranches in Colorado, and 70% of those or more are farm families, multi-generational farm families. And the last one is agriculture in Colorado employs more than 195,000 people. But Mr. Speaker, what I really want to talk about is the Colorado beef stick. As a cattle producer, as a cattle rancher, as a cattle feeder, I want to talk about how Beef Sticks for Backpacks is a mission to create a world where no child in Colorado suffers from weekend food insecurity.
To the
Now,
beef
what you
stick.
know about these, Mr. Speaker, is they can last a long time. And I'm going to make sure that you have some before the day ends. In fact, I'm going to provide some to the entire House staff, and I'm going to give you extras. I think you have 3 children.
Yeah, that's correct.
So each one of your children needs to understand the importance of the Colorado Beef Sticks for Backpack program. It's a nonprofit organization. There's a whole host of Colorado agricultural community members. And Beef Sticks for Backpacks distributes 15,000 beef sticks a week to children to provide those that may have food insecurity on weekends. And I would argue they probably don't even get to the weekend. They're so delicious. So thank you for Colorado Agriculture, thank you for Ag Week, and thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to present these to everybody on the floor.
Thank you, Representative Holtorf. Representative D. Valdez.
And just one last thing, thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you haven't had a chance, go visit with Commissioner Greenberg and all the staff with the Department of Ag outside in the hallway and continue to engage with them on all the issues and concerns that we continue to move forward. So thank you, and thank you, members.
Representative Van Bepper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As someone who has quintessentially described myself as the farm kid, I've been blessed throughout the course of my life to be able to be a part of agribusiness and agriculture from my first memories. I'm so very proud and very grateful to be from one of the places in Colorado, the northern and eastern part of Colorado, where at least 8 of the top 10 producing counties in the nation are located. Just 50 years ago, 36% of the people were in agribusiness and they were farming. Today, it is just 2%. So wherever you go and whoever you see this week, make sure to think about understanding where it is your food comes from, that it comes from somewhere besides the grocery store, that there are individual producers in just about every industry you can think of, putting our forage, putting our food on the table. Whether it's FFA, a farm implement dealership, the individuals who make the equipment, or the individuals whose hearts and hands are bloodied in the agricultural industry as they are crippled under the kinds of policies that make it difficult for them to endure, I say thank you. I thank you for what you do for the state of Colorado and for feeding the world.
Representative Willett. Nice looking haircut.
Thank you,
Representative
Mr.
Will.
Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
Honor to serve
I
with
just
you.
wanted to come up for a brief moment and thank agriculture across the state. I can tell you in House District 57, in my district, ag is the economies in a large part of my district that I represent. Recreation takes in another portion of it, but the bulk of the economies in my district are ag-related and tied to agriculture. I also want to say that Northwest Colorado there, if you like beef and especially lamb, I can tell you if you like lamb, there's a good chance it was raised right there in House District 57. So big shout out to Ag Week here at the Capitol, and thank you to all our ag producers across this state.
Representative Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of State, Civic, Military, and Veterans Affairs will be meeting at 1:30 in LSBA to hear 3 bills, Senate Bill 76, Senate Bill 105, and House Bill 1059. The printed calendar also includes House Bill 1238, but at the sponsor's request, we have postponed that 1 week. So 1238 will not be heard today. Senate Bill 76, 105, and House Bill 1059 will be heard today. Thank you.
Postponed 1 week. That's better than indefinitely. Representative Mullica. Members, we have a tribute. Please direct your attention to the well. Representative Duran and Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have a tribute, and we'd ask that it be read at length.
Mr. Schiebel.
State of Colorado. The House of Representatives convened in the 73rd General Assembly hereby recognizes Single Parents Day. The greatest need of all children is to be loved, whether they live in a double-parent home or a single-parent home. The number of single-parent homes has more than doubled in the past 25 years. The responsibility of raising children to become productive and responsible adults is particularly difficult when it falls on the shoulders of a single parent. In order to bring recognition to the growing number of men and women who are raising children alone and to erase the stigma of single parenthood, On March 21st, 1984, Congress passed a bill that established March 21st as National Single Parents Day. In Colorado, Single Parents Day has been celebrated since 1993, and it honors those men and women who single-handedly combine breadwinning with nurturing. The Colorado House of Representatives recognizes March 21st, 2022 as Colorado Single Parents Day. On request of Representatives Kyle Mullica, Monica Duran, Judy Amabile, Shannon Bird, and Lisa Cutter, given this 21st day of March 2022, State Capitol Denver, signed Alec Garnett, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Representative Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And it's an honor to be up here today, members, to honor single parents. I was raised by a single mother. I've never met my father. And we faced a lot of trials growing up, even being homeless. And I always looked at my mom, and I still look up to my mom for the things that she's gone through and the things that she's overcome. And it never hit me until I became a father myself, how hard it was. I was always thankful, and I always knew how hard my mom worked. But to see the things that she did by herself with no help was absolutely amazing. And I don't know how I'm standing here today because I'm raising a little boy that's just like me. And so I'm thankful that she didn't kill me because I could have seen where that could have gone easily. But members, sorry, that went a little off. But stay on script, yes. Really, it's such an honor to be up here to not only honor all single parents, but to be able to honor my mother for the things that she did and the things that she overcame to be able to allow me to stand here today in front of you. With that, I'll pass it off to Representative Duran.
Representative Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that's really great to hear. You know, I was a once single mom. I had come out of a domestic violence situation, and I had a 2-year-old son. So I worked 3 jobs. We were homeless for a while. So it's really great to kind of hear it from your perspective as a son. So it was a struggle, right? It's a struggle to be a mother and a father and a provider and a nurturer, and you're wearing so many hats. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't be standing here with you. So he gave me the strength I needed to get through those times. He's turned out to be a wonderful young man, and I'm very proud of him. And it taught me resiliency. I was a young parent. It taught me resiliency, strength, endurance, and gave me the work ethic and determination that I needed, and so grateful. And we should honor all single parents today, and grateful and thankful to be here. Thank you.
Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm really happy to be able to support this tribute as well today. My mom was a single mom, and looking back, I know we faced a lot of hardships that I didn't really recognize at the time. And it's a testament to her and how hard she worked to make us feel like everything was great and we were loved and supported and weren't lacking, when in reality, by some measures, we definitely were lacking. And now looking back, to similar to what my colleague said, looking back, I realize as a parent now, really how hard it was. And so my heart goes out to her and thanks, and all single parents. In fact, my husband and I used to joke we could never get divorced because you couldn't leave me with the kids. so they kept us together. So anyway, thanks for supporting this tribute.
Representative Bird.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I'll keep my remarks brief, but I'm standing up here also was the child of a single parent family. My mother, I don't know how she did it. There were 2 of us, and she kept the cleanest house ever with a full-time job and then 2 crazy girls. Saturday was our cleaning day, Sunday was laundry day, and this was a cycle that repeated all the time, and we had a perfect house. Somehow she made better meals than I do for our kids today. But one thing I just wanted to offer to you is, you know, most families, I think, are 2-person families, or many of them are, but many families also are single-parent families. And my own experience just shows how important it is that the rest of society work. So for every single parent, those families need great public schools. They need family if they're lucky to have them. Some of the single-parent families don't have extended family to help them out. But I know that the role of public schools in my life was crucial. Without them, I couldn't have been where I am today. So think about that as we consider public policy that supports not just traditionally constituted families, but also single-parent homes.
Representative Michelson Janae, and then Representative Herod.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm also going to come up here and talk about my mother, who was a single mom and was raising 3 kids under the age of 7. We were living in a project in Queens, New York at the time, and recently my mom has been not well. She fell and broke her hip, and I had to move her into a nursing home, which was part of some of the days I wasn't here. And last night, she sent me a text and said, "I never made anything of myself. You've made something of yourself. I never made anything of myself." And I have to disagree significantly. She raised 3 really difficult children. We were not easy kids. And she raised us all to be able to have a wonderful life. And when I talked to her, when I was with her in New York recently, I said to her, you know, that time in New York, that must have been your scariest, hardest time in your life, because it was my scariest, hardest time in my life. And she said, no, I felt empowered because my mother took care of us when she had nothing and we had nothing. So I'm grateful for the recognition of Single Parents Day. My mom is not watching, but I love her very much, and I think she's made a great deal of herself.
Representative A. Valdez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And this is, folks, a full-fledged mamathon at this point. And I'm not going to miss out. As a young one, it was just me and my mom. And, you know, I admire her so much because finding the time between work, taking me to sports, if you can imagine, I was terrible. She found the time to do all this, but most importantly, she found the time to make me, I think, what has become hopefully a good person. And that took a lot of work, and for that I love her very much, and I praise her on this day for single parents.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I, too, am the product of an amazing single mother who served in the armed forces while raising me, my brother, and before us, my sister. I am also want to acknowledge all of the single dads that have also toiled and typically are left out of these conversations. And then I just want to give a shout out to an amazing woman, Janice Moglin, who has brought this resolution and tribute to the House floor since 1995. 1995. She has been on a crusade to ensure that single parents are acknowledged and lifted up and treated with the dignity, respect, and admiration that they deserve. She can't be here today because of the COVID pandemic, but I know she's watching, and I want to say thank you for your perseverance and your continued work to celebrate single parents.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, thank you, members. Are there any other announcements or introductions? Seeing none, the next order of business is third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to Senate Bill 83.
Senate Bill 83 by Senator Quorum, also Representatives Catlin and Byrd, concerning a broadband provider's use of the public rights of way.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move Senate Bill 83 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 83 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 83 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1001.
House Bill 1001 by Representatives Cutter and Sullivan, also Senators Pedersen and Colker, concerning a transfer from the general fund of the Department of State cash fund to allow the Department of State to reduce business-related fees for the state fiscal year 2022-23.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good job rolling your R there. I heard it. I move House Bill 1001 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1001 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 46 aye votes, 19 no votes, and 0 excused, House Bill 1001 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Ortiz, Majority Leader Escar, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1118.
House Bill 1118 by Representative Doherty, also Senator Colker, concerning limitations on purchasers' claims for sales and use tax refunds.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1118 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1118 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Pelton votes no. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 48 aye votes, 17 no votes, and 0 excused, House Bill 1118 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1202.
House Bill 1202 by Representatives Harrod and McCluskey, also Senators Zenzinger and Coleman, concerning the creation of a new measure in the public school funding formula for identifying at-risk students and, in connection therewith, creating a working group in the Department of Education to implement the new measure in a future budget year and making an appropriation.
Nice job, Mr. Shebel. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1202 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1202 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Pelton votes no. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 48 aye votes, 17 no votes, and 0 excused, House Bill 1202 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Majority Leader Escar, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1222.
House Bill 1222 by Representative Tippett, also Senators Holbert and Rodriguez, concerning marijuana responsible vendor training.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1222 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1222 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Okay, Representative Holtorf is excused. Oh, wait, whoa. Just. That's an $8.59 fine. That type of thing isn't allowed. Please close the machine. With 59 aye votes, 6 no votes, and 0 excused, House Bill 1222 is adopted. Co-sponsors.
Hey, Mr. Speaker, can I pay in meat sticks?
In whatever currency the staff would like. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1288.
House Bill 1288 by Representatives Tatone and Soper, also Senators Smallwood and Fields, concerning increasing access to assistance for victims by providing immunity from prosecution for the offense of prostitution in specific circumstances.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1288 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1288 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Snyder. Please close the machine. 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, and 0 excused. House Bill 1288 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Ortiz, Majority Leader Escar, Representative Hooten, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. That brings us to General Order's second reading of bills. Representative Gray. Members, you have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Gray will take the chair.
The committee will come to order.
With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for a reading of a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads, and bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader or the assistant majority leader. We'll see how that goes. And the coat rule is relaxed. Madam Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 86 until the end of the calendar.
At the request of the Assistant Majority Leader, that bill will be laid over till the end of the second reading calendar. Madam Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 34 until Friday, March 25th.
At the request of the Assistant Majority Leader, Senate Bill 34 will be laid over until whichever date she said. I don't remember what it was. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1262.
House Bill 1262 by Representatives Sullivan and Snyder, also Senators Rodriguez and Cook, concerning the continuation of the authority of the Director of the Division of Workers' Compensation to impose fines on an employer for subsequent failure to carry workers' compensation insurance within a specific period after a previous failure and in connection therewith, implementing the recommendation in the 2021 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just let me say what a distinct honor it is to serve with you.
It is somewhat of an honor to serve with you, sir.
Well, on that happy note, I'd like to move House Bill 1262.
Bill has been properly moved. Representative Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today we're bringing House Bill 1262, Continuing Workers' Compensation Regulations Sunset Bill. This bill is limited to a review of the Director's authority to settle fines with employers who have already been fined for failing to maintain workers' compensation coverage. House Bill 171119 gave this flexibility to the Director to settle fines for less than the statutory minimum. That amount is $250 each day. The employer failed to carry the insurance if they had already been fined in the previous 7 years for the same failure. These amounts could be quite excessive if the failure had been for some length, and many businesses would, instead of paying the fine, close up shop. That was not helpful to the employees impacted. Now the Director can work out as a compromise with the employer, get the employee the help they need, and the business can continue. Win-win for all involved. During the 4-year period, the Director settled 19 fines, totaling just slightly more than $280,000. It was stated that the fines were significant enough to act as a deterrent and unlikely to bankrupt any company. For those reasons, we ask for your aye vote on 1262.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1262? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1262. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. So close. House Bill 1262 is adopted. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1255.
House Bill 1255 by Representatives Ortiz and Bradfield, also Senators Zenzinger and Kirkmeyer, concerning measures to improve post-secondary education outcomes for students with a disability.
Representative Ortiz.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 1255 in the Ed Committee report.
That's a proper motion. House Bill 1255 is moved to the Education report. Representative Bradfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I move the amendment 001. The purpose of this amendment was some cleanup, change some dates, and strike some language, and it was approved unanimously in the Education Committee.
Thank you, Representative Bradfield. To clarify, we have moved the Education Committee report. You're not moving a new amendment to it. You're just discussing, else is there one that happened in Education?
That is correct.
All
I'm
right.
discussing the amendment that was passed in the Education Committee.
Thank you, Representative Bradfield. Any other discussion on the Education Committee report to 1255? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Education Committee report to House Bill 1255. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. After raucous debate, the Education Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Bradfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 22-1255, and the title is Concerning Measures to Improve Post-Secondary Education Outcomes for Students with a Disability. It's a simple bill. It's designed to collect information on students that are in institutions of higher education, otherwise known as colleges for the most part. And the end result will be to suggest best practices to assist these students to be successful as other students. Now, we have some sobering information that will be the basis for why this bill came about, and that is the Centers for Disease Control estimate that 26% of us have some sort of disability. And in 2019, the National Center for Education Statistics estimated that 19.4% of us, of undergraduate students, had a disability. And that's not a small number or even a small population. But it's quite surprising that the national data on completion rates for this population are hard to find. And in 2019, the U.S. Department of Education said that students with disabilities had a 38% completion rate. This compares to 51% of students with no disabilities. Well, so far in Colorado, we have no idea how many students are in institutions of higher education with disabilities, or how many have completed their course of study. Nor has there been an accurate method to measure these students with disabilities. Yet, we know that students with disabilities represent all student segments, especially those populations that already have lower participation and completion rates. In order for colleges, institutions of higher learning to help these students be more successful in course completion, we need some accurate data. And that's where this bill 1255 comes in. It is to improve the secondary education for students with disability, and it details the types and scopes of data to be collected and reported in a SMART hearing. At this point, I would like to address your attention to the wall and ask for Representative Ortiz to give the nuts and bolts. Thank you.
Representative Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Bradfield. So the bottom line of this bill seeks to try and fix one of the biggest issues that affect every aspect of any individual that lives with a disability's life, and that is access. I mean, we're 4 times more likely to live under the poverty line, and access to closing the success gap in higher education is one of the critical issues that we need to solve. On average, 65% of jobs in the U.S. and 75% of jobs in Colorado require a post-secondary education. And although we have seen an increase in enrollment for students with disabilities, going from 10.9% of all students in 2007-2008 timeframe to almost 20% in 2016, there has been no significant difference in completion rates between 1990 and 2005. So as my co-prime stated, the numbers are stark. You have a 38% success rate of those living with a disability compared to their able-bodied counterparts of 51%. According to a 2019 report from Colorado State University, students who receive appropriate disability support services and accommodations experience better academic outcomes. And if you combine that with universal student services like tutoring and extracurricular activities being accessible, then success rates jump to 75 to 79%, according to a study cited in the Journal of Diversity in Higher Education. So that is one of the many reasons why we need this bill. It has zero financial impact whatsoever. It is a concentrated, focused committee group that will be giving reports not just to the Department of Higher Ed, but through the Ed Smart Committee hearings, both the Senate and the House, giving recommendations what to do. It is a 15-member committee that includes a student or graduate living with a disability, orgs that advocate for those that live with a disability, voc rehab, or Department of Labor reps. So we're really making sure we're checking the boxes to identify every area that will set these students up for success. We're also, the amendment that we talked about also includes studying the impact of accessibility of financial aid on the impact of success rate. So the bottom line is this costs Colorado zero money, and it really is going to tackle one of the biggest issues that those living with a disability are facing, and that's closing the success gap in higher education, which is what you need in order to find a vocation or a career that pays a livable wage with great benefits. For all those reasons and more, I urge an aye vote.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1255? Seeing none, Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to say Colorado workforce is evolving, and post-secondary education must evolve as well. This is a way to start the process, and I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1255? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1255. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. House Bill 1255 is adopted. Brings us to House Bill 1270. Mr. Schibel, please read the title to House Bill 1270.
House Bill 1270 by Representative Woodrow, also Senator Priola, concerning measures related to changing name-based criminal history record check to name-based judicial record check in the Colorado Revised Statutes.
That sounds scintillating. Representative Woodrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1270.
To the bill.
Good morning, colleagues. It is an honor and a delight to stand before you and present House Bill 1270, a CBI bill that updates our statutory language to ensure the Federal Bureau of Investigation continues to process employment-based background checks. So exciting. Friends, certain professions and circumstances require background checks, like field experience educators, insurance directors, domestic insurers, bail bond agents, money transmitters, newly licensed real estate brokers, real estate appraisers, mortgage brokers, massage therapists, wholesale prescription drug distributors, surgical technical assistants, and a long list thereafter. Well, get this. The Federal Bureau of Investigation sent the state a letter saying our statutory language, specifically the phrase name-based criminal record check, is outdated and puts us at risk of the FBI discontinuing its approval of our statutes. To be clear, these background checks are solely employment and circumstance-based. We had a great discussion in committee. I ask for an aye vote on the bill.
That is the most passionate speech I've heard about an incredibly boring bill, and with that, we'll go to Representative Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, even though this is a Woodrow bill regarding background checks, I do want to assure you I've looked into it, and this has no effect on our Second Amendment rights.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1270? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1270. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 1270 is adopted. Madam Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1272 until Wednesday, March 23rd.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1272 will be laid over until March 23rd.
We're on our bill now. It's our bill. 86.
Senate Bill 86.
Mr. Schibel, please read the title to Senate Bill 86.
Senate Bill 86 by Senators Winter and Gonzalez, also Representatives Gray and Gonzalez-Gutierrez, concerning assets exempted from seizure in certain proceedings and in connection therewith, expanding the amount and application of the homestead exemption to include personal property that is actually used as a residence, increasing the scope and amount of assets that may be exempted, adding certain new exemptions, recreating and increasing an exemption for money in depository accounts, and removing a requirement that a person must deposit and not commingle funds in order to render child support payments or unemployment benefits exempt from levy to pay a debt.
I can move it in.
Madam Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez-Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 86.
To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this bill does a few things. It updates our definition of dwelling to better reflect the types of structures people live in today to ensure they can be protected as a homestead along with more traditional housing stock. It increases the dollar values on a number of current exemptions in state law, including homes, vehicles, household goods, farm equipment, and disability benefits. These increases are based on an average price increase. It also adds a few new exemptions, including protecting health savings accounts in the same way current law protects retirement accounts, a $1,000 exemption for firearms, hunting, and fishing equipment for personal safety or hunting, protections for life expectancy set-aside accounts, which are funds derived from reverse mortgages, mortgage proceeds that are designated for specific uses, and reestablishes bank account protections to protect up to $2,500, a temporary protection that was passed during the pandemic of $4,000 but expired in 2021.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill does a lot to modernize the protections we provide for people in the economy that we're facing right now. Folks from both sides of the aisle have had a lot of conversations down here with our constituents about the way that this pandemic has affected people in an economic sense, in addition to the health sense. And what this does is take some dollar amounts that have been stagnant for a really long time and provide more protection to low and middle income Coloradans for housing, to help them afford housing, to help them afford health care, to help them afford basic human accommodations as we come out of this pandemic. And I would ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Representative Bockenfeld.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's always an honor to serve with you.
Likewise.
Folks, if I could have your attention here a minute, because I think this is very important. I don't think most folks have much issue with the bill, but there is one area of the bill that I think is problematic, and that is the amount of the homestead exemption that's being granted in the bill. And I want you to understand and not confuse this homestead exemption with the one that we give to military families and to senior citizens. This is a statutory homestead exemption that if someone gets a civil judgment or there's a debt contract where people get to maintain and retain the equity in their home. And the bankruptcy courts many times takes the exemption that we establish here as part of their federal exemption that they would use in a bankruptcy case. So I want to kind of boil this down to what this really means. If someone perpetrated a crime against you, you not only have a right, of course, file a criminal complaint with the state, and the state can be the person who goes prosecute someone for that crime, but you also have a right to ask for a civil judgment. So if you have a crime where you obtain a civil judgment, you may not be able to collect that judgment because someone who has equity in their home are protected by the increase that we're giving here today. And I think most of us will agree that increasing the exemption from $75,000, which is what we had, what it was established in, I think, 2014, to what was initially recommended, which was $300,000, that's a 300% increase in what someone can claim as inequity in their home compared to the real estate appreciation that occurred since 2014 till the day. That real estate appreciation is 61%, not 300%. Now, the Senate did go in and offered an amendment, which was approved, that would reduce that exemption the increase in that exemption from 2014 to $250,000, but that's still a 235% increase. Folks, that's not fair. That's not fair if you have someone who owes you money and you ask for a judgment and you obtain that judgment and that person has equity in their home and you cannot go after that equity. So, that being said, I would like to offer Amendment L-009 and ask that it be displayed.
Please move rather than offer the amendment, Representative Bockenfeld.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would like to move Amendment L-009 and ask for it to be displayed.
To the amendment.
What this amendment does, as I just explained, that the actual increase in real estate equities that have occurred since the last time we made this adjustment for this exemption was 61%. What this amendment does, it makes that adjustment to 66.5%. And what that does is that raises the amount of exemption you can claim from $75,000 to $125,000. And if you are a senior citizen or someone who has a disability, it raises that exemption from $105,000 to $175,000. This is reasonable. And so I ask for an aye vote on this amendment. Thank you very much.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd ask for a no vote on this amendment. The values that we have struck, $250,000 for a homestead, for example, in so many communities across Colorado, whether you are somebody who owns a farm or you're somebody who owns a home in a suburban community or somebody who owns a home in an urban community, having that much left to try to start back out with doesn't get you the kind of home that you had before. It doesn't get you the kind of ranch or farm that you had before. It doesn't get you anything, but it gives you something given housing affordability costs around here in this state. And I will tell you that the creditors of this state and the debt collection folks of the state are neutral on this bill. This was really well negotiated in the Senate, and they're not asking for this. The folks who collect these debts are not asking for this. They're okay with this, and it's what we need for folks to be able to maintain their homes in the state and have something to go off of as opposed to being sent out on the street. So there's no established group that is asking for this, and so I'd ask for a no vote.
Is there further discussion? Representative Bockenfeld.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if there's an established group asking for it. I do know there's a number of folks that are impacted that see what's happening here. And I guess I don't understand if the appreciation of real estate's only gone up 61%. How is it making housing more affordable by increasing it by the exemption by 235%? There are individuals out there, I'm not standing up here for the fun of it. There are individuals that have contacted me, and I'm sure they've contacted some of you and said, this is not fair. Why are we doing this? You know, I think we can legislate down here without creating winners and losers. I think we can use a balanced approach to our legislation, and I ask for you to please consider using that balanced approach in this particular case. folks, to the creditors, to the individuals that have a judgment of somebody owes them money, to someone who's had a crime perpetrated against them and obtained a judgment, has a right to go in and collect that money and not have it exempted. It's just not fair. I ask for an aye vote on this amendment.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L9. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The noes have it and the amendment fails. Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 86? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 86. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it and the bill passes. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the committee rise and report.
Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
House will come back to order. Mr. Shebel, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Speaker, Committee of the Whole begs leave to report as under consideration the following attached bills being the second reading thereof and making the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1255 is amended, 1262, 1270 passed on second reading in order engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 86 passed on second reading in order revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1272 laid over until March 23, 2022. Senate Bill 34 laid over until March 25, 2022.
Representative Gray. Members, you have heard the motion. There is an amendment at the desk. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of the Bockenfeld Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole, which is L009 to Senate Bill 86.
Representative Bockenfeld moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee and not adopting the following Bockenfeld Amendment L009 to Senate Bill 86 to show that said amendment passed and that Senate Bill 86 as amended passed.
Representative Bockenfeld.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
Honor to serve with you too, Representative Bockenfeld.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to move the Bockenfeld Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole.
It's so moved. It's displayed to the amendment. Representative Bockenfeld.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard our debate on this particular issue, and I think what's important to note that the last time this exemption was modified, I believe it was in 2014. Since that time, the real estate market in this state has increased by 61%. And I don't think any of us disagree with the fact that there needs to be an amendment to this exemption. This exemption is not to be confused with the homestead exemption that military folks and senior citizens get. It's one in case there's a judgment. There's a number of reasons why people get judgments. Many times they're small businesses that have been impacted by the pandemic, or they're someone who's had a crime perpetrated against them, and they not only utilize the criminal courts, but the civil courts in order to protect their interest when a crime is perpetrated against them. The current bill initially was asking for a 300% increase in this exemption when the market only increased by 61%. And then the Senate, thank goodness, made some adjustment to this bill and got it down to a 35% increase in the homestead exemption when the real increase in the market was only 61%. What this amendment does, it makes that adjustment 66.5%, which is a little above what the true market impact has been on the homestead exemption since 2014. And as I mentioned previously, I think that we can legislate in this building without creating winners and losers. I think we can be fair to everybody above. And I ask for an aye vote on this amendment, and let's put some common sense back into how we're moving forward with this particular bill. And I think we can all accept that. So again, I ask for an aye vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Bockenfeld. Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I said before, the intent of this bill is to keep more people housed, and it's a carefully carefully negotiated compromise. And the creditors who actually hold these obligations, the request they made to me, the creditors associations, is to make sure the bill didn't get amended over here. So I would ask you to not amend it over here, and I would ask for a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of the Bockenfeld Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole L009 to Senate Bill 86. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. For those participating online, Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote? Oh, sorry.
No.
I screwed up the... Representative Hooten votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
No.
Majority Leader Escar votes no. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Ortiz votes no. Please close the machine. With 31 aye votes, 34 no votes, and 0 excused, the Blakenfield amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole is lost. That brings us to the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Shebel, please. The motion before us is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Pelton votes no. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 41 aye votes, 24 no votes, and 0 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. That brings us to Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to proceed out of order for consideration of Senate amendments to House bills. Get your gobblers ready.
Is there real objection? Okay. Seeing no objection, we will proceed. We'll proceed out of order for immediate consideration of Senate amendments to House bills. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1046.
House Bill 1046 by Representatives McLaughlin and Catlin, also Senators Winter and Woodward, concerning authority for local governments to designate highways under their jurisdiction for over snow use only.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We ask that the House concur with the Senate amendments on House Bill 1046. Bring it on. Sometimes they know what they're doing. It was okay.
If you don't mind,
this amendment was brought to us by some landowners in Uray County and was agreed to by the various stakeholders working on the bill, including Colorado counties.
Wonderful. Do you mind moving it? You asked for
I do mind, actually. No, I will move it. Yeah. House Bill 22-1046, please.
Hey.
They gobbled at me.
That is now a proper motion. I don't make the rules. Any further discussion? Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Speaker. What this did was we had run the bill through the House. We thought we had an agreement. Everything worked well. But after it moved through the House, the people there in Uray County contacted me and brought some of these things to my attention. So the easiest place to fix that was to put a Senate amendment on in that chamber. Now, I want you to know, they did not write it. We wrote that amendment because we didn't trust them to write it right. What this does is, let me just read the words to you so that I don't want to take too much time this morning, but so you understand. When wheeled winter access is requested along a highway, under the statute it calls roads highways, nothing in this subsection 3D prohibits a local authority from entering into private winter maintenance agreements with such requests shall be considered. What this does is it gave them, those folks, the assurance that they were not going to be kept out of their property in the winter because the county did not plow the road. They can then contact the county, and in Uray County there are numerous roads that are dealt with this way. This puts it into the bill that we carried. It will make it a lot cleaner. It gave them a sense of security. That's why I would suggest a yes vote.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1046. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Esker votes yes. Representative Putin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Putin votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, and 0 excuse, the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1046 is adopted. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1046 as amended.
The question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1046 as amended. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Majority Leader Esker, how do you vote?
I'm sorry, I was distracted by Marla. What are we voting?
This is the repassage of House Bill 1046 as amended.
Thank you. Yes.
Majority Leader Esker votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 59 aye votes, 6 no votes, and 0 excused, House Bill 1046 is repassed as amended. Co-sponsors. Just in case that Senate amendment moved you to co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1150.
Morning.
House Bill 1150 by Representatives Bockenfeld and Exum, also Senators Cook and Fields, concerning the elimination of signature requirements for persons who are alleged to have violated certain offenses.
I can explain it. Go ahead.
Representative Bockenfeld.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to make a motion to concur with the Senate amendments.
Thank you. Thank you.
What the Senate has done is it struck two words, which is 20 days. And by striking those words, it does the following.
Representative Exum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This has always been a technical, and we worked with Captain Hahn with Colorado State Patrol to clarify that the first 20 days of a citation is payable to DOR, allows for a point of reduction for all citations 2 points or higher, and other 20 days to allow them an extended time period before we send the citation to court listed on the citation and for the docketing of procedures of the particular court.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Bockenfeld.
I ask for a yes vote.
See no further discussion. The question before us is the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1150. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Majority Leader Esker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Esker votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, and 0 excused, the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1150 is adopted. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1150 as amended.
The question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1150 as amended. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Majority Leader Esker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Esker votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 56 aye votes, 9 no votes, and 0 excused, House Bill 1150 is repassed as amended. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel. It's just the weirdest thing. Just the second bite of the apple. All right, Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1110.
House Bill 1110 by Representatives Basenecker and Bradfield, also Senator Story, concerning the circumstances under which a Board of Education may meet in executive session when selecting a chief executive officer.
Go ahead.
Representative Basenecker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House concur to Senate amendments to House Bill 1110.
That is a proper motion. Is there further discussion? Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I assured my caucus that we had the most perfect bill right here, and we did. But even perfection needed a little elevating here. What the Senate did was make an addition to the bill that the governing bodies of charter schools be included with the school boards of public schools. And that was the big change, and we asked for an aye vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1110? Seeing none, Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote.
Okay.
Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Pelton?
No.
Representative Pelton votes no. Majority Leader Eskar?
Yes.
Majority Leader Eskar votes yes. Representative Hooten?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 44 aye votes, 21 no votes, and 0 excused, the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1110 is adopted. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1110 as amended.
The question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1110 as amended. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Pelton votes no. Majority Leader Eskar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Eskar votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 46 aye votes, 19 no votes, and 0 excused, House Bill 1110 is repassed as amended. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1102.
House Bill 1102 by Representatives Ortiz and Sullivan, also Senators Gardner and Henriksen, concerning protected classes and fair housing practices and in connection therewith including a veteran or military status as a protected class.
Representative Ortiz.
Mr. Speaker, I move we concur with the Senate amendments to House Bill 1122.
That's a proper
1102.
motion. That is a proper motion. Further discussion. Representative Ortiz.
So these are two friendly amendments that were passed in the Senate, which were worked with CHAFA on, that clarifies that veteran military status can still be considered for positive reasons to determine eligibility for veteran housing programs. And we also worked with the Home Builders Association to clarify that it is not a violation for property owners to abide by federal requirements. For example, VA-backed loans during the appraisal of a newly built house. These are both helpful amendments and make the bill better.
Further discussion. Seeing none, the question before us is the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1102. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Williams votes yes. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Majority Leader Eskar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Eskar votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, and 0 excused, the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1102 is passed. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1102 as amended.
The question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1102 as amended. Is there any further discussion? Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd ask to be excused from this vote under Rule 21C.
Representative Gray will be excused from this vote under Rule 21C. See no further discussion. The question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1102 as amended. Mr. Sheeple, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Williams, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Williams votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Pelton votes no. Majority Leader Escar, how do you vote?
Yes.
Majority Leader Escar votes yes. Representative Hooten, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Hooten votes yes. Representative Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ortiz votes yes. Please close the machine. With 53 aye votes, 11 no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1102 is repassed as amended. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar until tomorrow, Tuesday, March 22nd.
Seeing no objection, the balance of the calendar will be laid over until Tuesday, March 22nd. That brings us to announcements and introductions. Representative Maxine Genet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, on your desks today, you received information about the Civil Air Patrol, of which 99.9% of us are members. This is an amazing organization, and what you need to know is they are here if things like a fire happens in your district and you need to be able to fly over and see the burn scar. These are the people who will help take you out to see your district. So know that this is available to you. It's an underutilized resource. Tomorrow morning, Civil Air Patrol will be down in the lobby by the governor's office at 8:15 because it's Civil Air Patrol Day. I hope you'll come visit and meet some of the amazing people who are volunteers and serve our country.
Thank you, Representative Maxine Genet. Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Worry not, my friends. I have a simple announcement. The Colorado Society of Eye Physicians and Surgeons, due to factors beyond their control, must postpone tonight's event at the Art Hotel. They would sincerely appreciate your understanding, and they will reschedule the event at a further time. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Holtorf. Are there further announcements? Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is just an update to today's finance calendar. At the request of the bill sponsor, we're going to lay over or hold off on hearing House Bill 1123. That will be rescheduled, and as soon as it is, I'll let you all know.
That's great. Anybody going to introduce the school group that's up in the gallery?
I'm going to ask about that.
Oh, yeah. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, there is a group of students, it looks like, up in the gallery. I don't know if there are anybody's. And Mr. Speaker, I didn't know if you wanted to explain the turkey gobbling that they witnessed.
Sure. Did you guys hear everyone gobbling? So when that bill passes the House, it has to pass the Senate as well, right? You have to pass both chambers to go down to the governor to get signed and become a law. If the Senate amends the House bill, it has to come back over to the House, and we have to approve of the changes that the Senate made. But because the Senate is the lower chamber, if they make any changes to our perfect bills and we have to accept those, a turkey gobble seems only appropriate. Don't you think? Very good. Representative Catlin.
Or a baby gobble.
Or baby gobbles. Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Speaker. I'm sorry, I'm running behind this morning. One of the things I wanted to do, I came down here to make a to recognize one of my colleagues. She's a single mom. She raised 4 kids on her own. All of them turned out great. I just wanted to recognize Representative Kim Ransom. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Catlin. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess until later today.